This meeting is called to order. We do roll call.
Mackey.
Here.
McBreen.
Here.
Harper.
Here.
Bassett.
Here.
Baxter.
Here.
Thank you.
And then I was just asking just to do a quick, who you are, what you do, how long you've been doing this for, real quick. Just go
My name is
around.
Michael Mackey. This is, I'm like second, third, fourth, fifth, maybe sixth term as a city council person. More. Okay.
My name is Taylor Bassett and I'll be starting my second year.
I'm Whitney Baxter, starting my third year.
Bobby Chubbuck, mayor, my second year.
Susan Roberts, city clerk, just started in June.
Ronnie Harper, council member, starting my second year.
Barb McBreen, this is my second term, 5th year.
Lori Hazel, I'm the library director and I became the director a year ago and I've been with the library for 2 years.
Sergeant Joe Markson, I've been with the Blacksville Police Department for 19 years, 22 years now.
Matt Taylor, fire chief, been chief for 5 years.
Gail Bennett, public works director, I'm on my 24th year. So,
All right, thank you. Let's get the approval of last month's agenda. Yeah, approval of this agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. We'll open the floor to public comments. Please keep your comments around 5 minutes. Are there any public comments? This is the smallest group we've had.
This is the smallest group we've had.
I didn't do it.
Good. All right, we will close public comments and move on to, we have a presentation, Steve Van Dyke from Fox Engineering about the storm sewer proposal.
Yeah, did everybody get a copy of the report?
Yes.
This is Eric Thompson, he's the guy who did the analysis for us here on the stormwater. We've got some hard copies I can pass them out. So Eric's going to kind of present what he found. We looked at several options here for how we can address.
Three options for that.
Yep.
Is that right?
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Everybody can probably see it from that far away.
Nope.
Okay, well, as Steve said, I'm Eric Thompson, I'm with Foxtrend. Back in December, we kind of met with city staff, look at some issues with flooding that was going on with part of town up on the Ray Street on 7th and 8th. We really came up with kind of 3 alternatives that were feasible to address these issues. Option 1 being extending the existing storm sewer that was previously done. Adding a few intakes, removing and replacing some of the existing structures and storm sewer that have.
This is option 1.
Yeah, option 1.
What was the cost on that? Was it like
I think it's on the bottom of the sheet.
160.
Yeah, 160. So option 1 also happens to be the cheapest option. And really what is happening is a lot of the water's coming down Ray Street, coming through the swales kind of on the side of the Ray Street, and then making over 7th and back into the, it's kind of, I'll call it a lake area. There's a depression back here. A small intake, which is very small. It's not sized to take really any flow, but I assume somebody put it there to help. This will help alleviate most of those problems for probably about 90% of all storm events.
So how many intakes were you planning on putting in on option
I
one?
believe it was 5 or 6. And 2 of those were being replacements of existing structures. They're pretty small. They don't have a lot of capacity. So upsizing those will help as well. There's much more to hit on that option. Option 2 would be removing and replacing an existing private line, chasing it back through private property and then outletting it into the ravine, which we tie on to about 100 feet of PVC pipe that's been done recently, so there'd be no need to remove that. But there are still some easement issues and some other unknowns that we'd have to deal with there. That's the second option.
So does option 2 have anything to do with option 1?
Yeah, there's a portion, we'd also want to run kind of this leg up here to pick up a lot of the drainage that on this area off of Ray Street and 8th, and in front of this property as well. So we would continue this length and this length running north.
Okay.
Because just replacing this isn't going to solve the problem, because then we still gotta get all this water here. We have one intake to take all of the drainage for the entire basin.
Okay.
So we still needed to rely on these other intakes to pick up that flow.
Okay.
And then option 3 is kind of an entirely different concept. You still have this portion of option 1, as I said, to pick up all the flow that's ponding in this area. But then you're running all the way to the creek to the north. So it's quite a bit further. There are some concerns with utilities, some existing power poles. This corner is pretty tight and it also gets extremely deep. It's probably about 15 feet deep that we'd have to cut. So there's some issues there.
You couldn't tie into what's existing there.
We would be able to pick up that as we come up the hill and tie into it at some point. But it's pretty deep to get it to gravity drain.
Yeah, because then I'll work something.
Yeah, that's kind of the top. As we go out there, that's kind of the peak of the area.
I thought at the corner of Pearl and 8th right there, I thought there was an intake right there. Dale, does that intake that usually always floods right there, plugs, doesn't that go around?
That goes around,
Yeah.
around that curve.
Yeah, so you'd really only need to just tie into it, right?
Did you see that was either too shallow or was?
Right, it's not shallow, it's not deep enough to get this area to gravity drain.
Gotcha.
So,
Yeah.
we could extend it a little bit, but it's not gonna solve the issue down here. And that, so, because of the length, we're looking at that came in as the most expensive option.
Would we really need to do option 2 if we do everything with 1? Option 1.
I don't think there'd be any reason to do it. You may consider jetting that line that crosses the street there, but it's kind of a private line, and at that point, it's not gonna be really draining anything. It's gonna be a secondary. Have minimal impact, so.
So with option 1, Steve, you had mentioned before about there's a row of trees that run down along there.
Was my choice.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what, were they gonna trench all that in, or they bore that in, or?
What we says on plan, it looks like we can get past them. Pretty safely, so.
Yeah, those trees are a little ways back from the road. We think we can get through there. There are some utilities there that we'll have to work with,
Okay,
but we think it's doable.
okay. So is this boring or trenching? What would you
We probably
We're
did
expecting,
both.
it's gonna be pretty shallow, so it'll be trenching.
trench it?
Yeah, or, sorry, yeah, trench.
So the driveways, it crosses a couple driveways there. We just put rock back in them, then is that how you replace those?
Well, a few of them are rock,
Yep,
fortunately.
yep.
But yeah, I mean, we could talk about if we want to make an improvement there, but usually we just put it back in kind.
Okay.
And that's what we have budgeted, so.
And option one, that red line is all option one.
Yeah, this,
Okay. And up to the, yeah, okay.
so there's 3 driveways and 7 total that we have to cross.
Yeah.
What size pipe are you guys looking to put in?
There's various sizes. It's 15 for the most part, and then 12-inch. Yeah, that's the plan.
So how much of a concern is it with option one? You mentioned that it might, or it will add flow to the existing downstream. How much, like, how big of a problem is that gonna cause potentially?
I don't think it's gonna be too much of a problem. It's gonna take a little bit of capacity, obviously, but we're talking 2 or 3 CFS, which isn't a ton. And as we get further downstream, the pipes get larger and the slopes increase, so there should be quite a bit of capacity in the system for most of the storm events. So that's kind of the more complicated. If
Yeah, is there an option there that you guys recommend or really see that?
just as far as cost and simplicity, we recommend option 1.
Yeah. Is there any further questions on this section? All right.
The next area we looked at was Main Street, which is a further extension of the existing storm sewer project that had been previously done. That one's a little bit more straightforward since it's a remove and replace of a existing tile that's in pretty bad shape. So the plan is to connect onto that structure at the southeast corner of Main first, running up the west side of Main Street, and just remove and replace in place. Picking up the low areas with intakes. More straightforward.
Is there no drain there now, Dale? Is there a drain? There is kind of, isn't there? Is there a drain down there on Main?
Yeah.
Just small, just a small drain.
All the intakes that come off it are all little. Pipes and plug up.
You see them are full of leaves typically. And
So the total of both projects is 420.
yes, that's what we were discussing. It's gonna be whichever option is selected.
Yeah.
Plus the
Yeah, I think it was option
Second
one
sheet.
right here, option 1. And then 255 for the Main Street. Main Street. 255. What do the intakes look like on here? What am I looking at for?
The intakes that we're putting are the larger 24-inch diameter intakes that we've done on the past projects as well. And we're replacing again those kind of 4-inch downspout intakes.
Okay. So how long do either one of these projects you think would take to do, like a week or once it got rolling?
A couple of weeks. It depends on the contractor, how quick they're wanting to move, but they could do each of them in a month.
So with the Main Street one, could we apply for another grant to put towards that? Maybe find one? 'Cause both of them together are 415, is that like? I mean, if we put the first, the Race Street one out for bid and hold off on this one? Or I don't know.
Yeah, that's what we're really here tonight to find out is how you guys want to move forward.
Okay.
You want to include the scope. I know we talked about like maybe $250,000 of funding available.
That's what the
There may
grant
be
is.
some other money that you have in some other areas that you can put toward this, or if you don't feel like you have that money available, maybe you just want to do the Race Street part of it.
Okay.
You want to swap it for a movie theater?
You're gonna do the whole town. You'll do the whole town then. You can do the whole town.
Why are you laughing?
No, we're gonna do it for the whole town. So on like urgency, which one would we benefit the most doing first if we just do one? I mean, Ray Street, up in that area, we have more water basements up there than we do the Main Street area.
I think so.
Go ahead. I don't live up there, so if somebody's getting water in the basement, we typically don't hear about it. These two right here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because 7th Street. cul-de-sac, that would be a problem.
So when you-
We have 4 sump pumps ready to go.
When you say you're getting water in your basement, you have a sump system that runs nonstop, or is it being overrun and your basement is filling with groundwater?
She gets probably about this much a couple of times a year. from her basement.
Seepage through the
It comes
the
up
footings, or it comes up through the?
Yeah, the sump pump. Yeah, she had the water, when the water tower spring, leak, whatever happened, and then only the water for her.
Dale, do we know of people having that kind of problem on Main Street?
No, nobody said anything.
Oh, there you go.
I would consider that and probably more of an emergency.
This is why.
Maybe we could take some of that other money
Right.
and increase the size of the intakes down here to get us by for a while.
Okay.
So, Mr. Mayor, what do you need from us to move forward? Or do we
What does
need to-
everybody think? I agree.
My sense of it is that it's not much of a decision to be made. Option one, addressing the needs of that water on the race field.
Yeah.
The priority. I don't feel like we have $415,000.
Not yet, no, not yet.
On both. One or the other.
Council meeting, so you guys are the one discussing on what project you'd like to take on first.
And how much was the grant that we got for this? 250?
250,000.
Okay, so if we don't spend all of the 250, what happens?
Dale, did you say some of it could be used for changing some of the
Intake.
intakes out where you have smaller ones?
Right, yeah, we could use some of that over here yet, maybe prepare a little bit.
Mhm.
Okay.
We could include that as part of the project too, and just try to make sure we're under that cap of 250. Maybe usually it's enough to take, just replace the things.
Have it as an ad alternate. That way you'll get a better price by the volume. We'll have it as an ad alternate. And, you know, wherever that number comes in, we can add or remove. So if you got a number of intakes, we could mark them on the plans and take them out if you need to.
And I guess the grant was towards Race Street, so the grant application. focused on Race Street, so I suppose we should do that first.
So what sort of action does the council need to take to move forward with this project, or do we need to?
Probably the approval of which option you want to do.
Yeah, I think tonight, all we need is just a general consensus on which way you want to go. And then we'll come back next month with a engineering agreement to do final design, get the project out for bids.
Sure.
Move forward.
Need a motion to move forward?
I don't think
Just
so.
a general.
It sounds like.
Do you have that sense from us right now?
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing.
Okay.
No, that's just a discussion topic for you guys to decide which one you want to move forward with, and then when they present the.
I think
The
I
final.
Option one,
Yeah. Yeah, full sufficient.
sounds like option one.
All right. We'll be back next
Thanks,
time.
John.
Okay. Thank you. Was there any questions I should ask? You guys have any other questions from the audience?
Basically, just hopefully it doesn't drag on like an Ankeny project, as I work in Ankeny, it seems like our projects take forever. Like the construction company doing it, you know, they
Right.
open up the whole street for the all driveways, leave them, leave them, we can't get it in now.
Yeah, do you guys know normally how they do that? I mean, as they're trenching, are they putting pipe in and backfilling it and kind of keeping it, or they just open the whole thing up and?
Yeah,
try to put it-
typically, that's how they'll do it.
Okay.
So they don't
And
have
all-
huge
also be
trenches.
up to the city as well.
Right.
Maybe you could tell them, hey, you're only gonna be able to do this much.
I think that would be.
She's done.
Contractors.
She's
That's what they're looking at.
Okay.
That defense. So
Just make sure everybody's.
If there's anything they can
Okay.
help us, like lay pipes, then.
Yeah, we could apply directly in the contract.
Yeah. Okay. That one, I think that would be pretty cool.
Thank you.
Thank you. No. Thank you, guys. Thanks, Steve.
Eric Thompson.
Eric Thompson.
I think it's on the fifth.
Oh, is it on the paper?
From the very bottom right.
I can send it.
Moving on, Greg Picklap here from Economic Development. Tell us what you got going on, Greg.
Happy New Year. Welcome to 2023.
Thank you, too.
May should be better than 2022. That's all I'm saying. So, good evening, Mayor and Council. I just want to let you know, just wanted to recap a couple things on your, I handed out to you before the start of the meeting. Just go through a few things and then offer a few suggestions for some goal setting decisions that we can make after budget. So that would happen in March, but I just wanted to give you a recap and update and then go through some things that we are working on right now. First things first, in front of you is this green piece packet of paper, Rural Boost Program Guidelines. It's a new grant that's been released by EDA through the Governor's Future Ready program. And what it is basically, it's a planning program grant for young, smaller communities under 20,000. It's for a 6 pilot program. Cambridge is something that myself and Caleb and Barb have identified as being the prime candidate for our region for MIPA, which is the Mid-Iowa Planning Alliance. So we would only submit one application for the 7 counties, and right now Cambridge is the one we've identified. So I'm bringing it to you tonight for consideration on that. It's a planning grant. It's something you can use for soft costs that aren't covered with normal grant expenses. Things like engineering, planning, design, training program, marketing strategies, sustainability of services, economic development planning, things like that. It's basically all the things you need to do before you can apply for the big grants. So when we go out for the next big line of grants for economic development, whether it be IEDA grant or another Catalyst grant, this stuff plans ahead of, and then you have it ready to go. Now, it is a matching grant. You get $10,000, but you have to put up a minimum of 5. So you would have a total of $15,000 program to use. And here's the best part. IEDA would dedicate 3 to 5 specialists to work with you in a committee for the community to plan your program.
They would work with a committee that Barb's been working on, and then myself included. And then also this committee would come in and with the program you've identified, is it like a Main Street redevelopment project? Is it something to do with housing? Is it something to do with comprehensive economic development planning? So this would go alongside your P and Z planning you're doing now, but this is something they do for a fraction of the cost with this grant. So it's something, it helps you plan and do a lot of the legwork you have to do anyway, but it's really cost effective and it helps you motivate and have the specialist on site. So it wouldn't be someone coming in one time a day. It'd be someone coming here. I'm talking weeks on end until this program is done. So this is something that's very, very big. Cambridge would be the only applicant for our region, like I said, for 7 counties under MIPA. We would apply for you if we get the go ahead. And then if it is awarded, then the grant would be awarded, officially announced, and then the committee would be appointed as well.
So who makes the committee? What's the committee involved?
The committee involvement is set by the city because the city has to be the applicant. This is one of those Empower Iowa grants. So the city officially would be appointed by the appointees for the grant or for the grant committee, working with the specialist, which would bring the plan to council for formal approval. So nothing gets set in stone until it gets approved by you, but at the same time, you would also have the authority to appoint the official people on the committee. The committees vary depending on the community size. It also depends on the type of project you want to tackle. The bigger the project, the bigger the people. I mean, you need a lot of hands in this, and there's a lot of door knocking, there's a lot of communication, community meetings, things like that. If you want, I can tell you right now, like I said at the beginning, there's 6 grants being targeted for this. So there's 6 in the entire state of Iowa. The only one for Central Iowa that we are targeting with MIPA is Cambridge.
And the steering committee would be 7 people, is that what I remember?
Minimum of 7 people. But once you have the program up and running, then it can have subcommittees, you know.
Okay,
Barb would get off on a committee, your next appointee would take a subcommittee, and then you're off and running as a community after the specialist leave. It's designed to help you train up people to do these projects. So it's not just on you as mayor and council, but it's also on this committee that you set up to keep doing it year to year. And it's really to make things sustainable for up to 5 to 10 years at a time.
thanks for sharing that. That's an exciting opportunity.
It's a very exciting opportunity, and I expect more of these after the governor's state of the state address. This is just the first thing that just dropped right after the new year. From the Power Iowa, there's probably going to be at least 3 to 5 more of these grants over the course of the year. So they're going to come out little by little over the course of 2023.
Any questions?
Can you give examples of what kind of stuff that the funding is for?
So this funding for this grant or just in general? This grant. So this grant can be used for economic development planning. It can be used for comprehensive community planning. You know, you could say that this area is a target for housing that we'd like to see in the future. You could use it for certification training if you want to become a Main Street community, things like that. It's designed to be a one-time expense, but it's designed to last for 5 to 10 years, like I said. So it's not for a specific long-term project. It's to set your planning for your long-term projects. Firehouse, for example, if you would like to include a volunteer fire program or training certification or paramedics as part of your comprehensive community plan, that can be included in it. One of the other things that we're looking at, not this grant, but another grant, is dealing with the emergency fire grant that just got released today. The one that Barb sent you on that one. We're looking at Roland applying for that because they have a fire engine needs replacement. Those type of grants are popping up more and more. This planning helps you have that stuff. So instead of having to, hey, Greg, can you do this in 3 days? It's, well, I have this, this, and this. You get me this, and we're off and running. It's really designed to make things easy for you long term. And you have that vision.
So we have a list, and then we have the parts to apply for. Is that what?
Yeah, and you have the vision, the community vision saying the library, we see this needing in 15 years, the fire station, water, public works, your downtown, you know, things like you'd like to see as part of this grant is to help you fill those goals long term. What would happen is if you wish to go forward with this, MIPA with Caleb would handle all the grant writing. I would help on the community, I want to say the community focus
Okay.
We would supply the grant, we would submit the grant, and then once the committee and the grant was awarded, then you would appoint the grant committee and the steering committee to get off and running too. And this is to be done relatively quickly. This is going to be over several months, but it's not going to drag on for years. So you're looking at a quick turnaround time of fall of 23. Any other questions? Did I scare anybody? No, just asking.
So cost of it was,
10,000 is the grant,
Yep.
minimum of $5,000 matching. It cannot be in kind on this grant. Some grants will apply in kind of staff time, volunteer time, things like that. On this grant application, it has to be cash. So it can be a straight donation from the city as a local match for the 10 to get the 5. I'm sorry, the 5 to get the 10. But then also too, if you have a company that's wishing to participate, they can pledge another 2,000. And then it increases. The grant still stays at 10, but you have 10 to start. You got your 5 that you're local matching, and if another company comes in, now you start dealing with more money to start visioning and do bigger things.
Is it better to have more than that 5,000? Will it make our application look better?
It could make your application and scoring look better. The scoring rubric's on the back.
Yep, I was looking at that.
Yeah, but I will tell you with the 6 limit,
Mhm.
it's gonna be fierce. So it's gonna be basically, what are you doing as a community that sets you apart from this community? The scoring is gonna matter, but not as much as the vision. So I would, once we target something, we're gonna target that hard, and we're gonna come up with a vision to sell it to the committee on our Iowa board, so they see it and they want part of it. Because eventually they wanna come tour the community and see what's doing in the grants. So it also helps your publicity too. And usually with these grants, the governor or the lieutenant governor comes and does a tour and gets some additional publicity for your town. Doesn't have to be tonight. I can come back to your next council meeting and ask for action from council, but I wanted to make sure you had all the information on it too.
But the application deadline's March 1st.
March 1st.
We only need 1 month.
I'm talking with Caleb. We're ready to go.
Okay.
We got everything primed. Barb's already been reaching out, but the appointees and everything else. If you wish to take action tonight, we're ready to go. Again, you'd only be submitting Cambridge as our application for this, for MIPA and the 7 counties.
So if we don't wait, if we do wait until the February meeting to decide, that would still give you guys enough time to.
Yes, because we can still do prepping and everything else. And honestly, I would like better from your viewpoints as elected officials on what type of plan or what type of target you would like to do. Because you can only do one. You can't do 7 and wrap it into a community plan. It has to be one vision for one plan, one project on the grant.
So if we decide to move ahead with it tonight, do we have to give you that vision, or do we have to, don't give it to you later?
You can give that to me later, in February at the next council meeting. You say, this is what we discussed and we decided on. We can move forward with that vision, but the prep work and the initial stuff with MIPA and me and Caleb's work, we can do that now over the next 30 days.
Okay. I'm pretty sure we want to apply for this grant. But we don't need a motion. Right?
No motion. If I get an intent of your will on this, then me and Caleb will start the work. And once you come back with your full program you want to do, myself and Caleb wishing he could be here tonight, but he's in Clive trying to figure out something that's happening there. So the next council meeting, both me and Caleb should be here, and we can tell you exactly how the program's going to go.
So are we
Council
considering this a
thoughts?
verbal commitment? Okay.
Yeah.
And at that council meeting, you would have to vote on the 10,000 or the 5,000 match to the grant to approve it
Okay.
forward. All right. Infrastructure grant funding with MIPA. Iowa is slated to receive about $1.1 billion in infrastructure dollars from the federal government over the next 5 years. MIPA and myself,
How much was that?
$1.1 billion over the next 5 years. As part of the infrastructure bill that passed November of 21. So $1.1 billion is hitting Iowa. So that is everything from EV, electric charging stations for cars, to infrastructure, sewer, water, to fiber, to everything. That's the whole gamut. When just looking through the federal guidelines, there's 16 separate categories for electric charging stations for cars. That's how massive this thing is. Over the next 5 years, that money is going to start trickling down to you at the local level. Talking to Caleb, it's part of that later at the bottom, but we'd like to start visioning with our communities, member communities of MIPA, and start figuring out exactly what you want to target. Is it emergency services? Is it infrastructure? Is it buildings? Is it brick and mortar? Is it streets? Things like that. So we can start targeting those type of things and tackling that money when it starts coming in. Because once it comes in, it's going to be a steady trickle. It's not going to be like ARPA, where they just dump it on your desk. It's going to be 5 years of payments. And then you can start figuring out your bank and your project costs. Story County Economic Development Group. Our last meeting was last year now. I got to say that in 2022. But a couple things. One, we are planning our meeting in Story City. We decided on 2 things. One, we're requesting more funding from the Story County supervisors for communities. We've asked for increases to all member communities to in the total amount of $40,000 to be split out. So it's going to be a little bit more to work with every year from your Story County Development Group, but it's not going to be a lot. It's still going to be more. And then also too, talking to Leanne at the county, we decided, and we got the general vibe from everyone on the committee, we need to update brochures and some of the scoring matrices that we have for your grants. They're no longer relevant in 2023. So we're going to start updating some of the criteria for grants, make things easier and more relevant. If you're updating your website, there's no reason you have to print out a brochure to apply for the grant funds. You can use the website instead. So we're going to be doing that too for this year. Housing. Like every community, I'm sure housing is at the top of your list of needs. Just this next year, Maxwell is taking another crack at their housing project. Colo just closed on property along Highway 30. I'm working on that project as well with Amy and the city council up there in Colo. Also as well, Huxley's booming, and then also McCallsburg. I'm working on selling 6 of their lots for development to new homes up there. So I know housing is the buzzword. I would like to, at the very bottom down there, you'll see mayor council discussion goals for 2023. I'd like to talk housing and where you want to see it, what you want to do with it. Are you looking at split family, single family, rentals, or what? So we can start looking at future development needs for you here in the community as well. YSS. I'm only touching on YSS because of 2 things. One, I'm working with YSS campus on their sewer problem. It does not involve Cambridge. It involves Huxley and an on-site solution. So there's no sewer needs from the city to YSS. But also 2, you're going to see more traffic in the community. You're going to see more traffic by default because you're the community closest to it. So that's going to be people visiting. That's going to be staff. It's going to be conferences. I like to start visioning as part of economic development for the next 3 years on what you want to see in your community to help serve those people. And I'm talking people that want a cup of coffee, that want a place to Wi-Fi to stop and use, people that want to stop and just use an office space for 3 hours, like Farms Grounds, Copper Spaces in Nevada. That's what they're doing right now. Those type of facilities, I think we can do here in Cambridge. And those are the type of people at the at YSS campus that are going to be needing those facilities in the next few years. And that's people in your town, buying your things, buying a cup of coffee, using your stuff, and becoming your downtown and becoming nice to have. Let's see. Across the street, Water Street projects. Barb's already sent me some photos and specs. I'm going to start working on a tour from my office, bringing down our business development team to go through it and also start pitching the building itself for future development once I have direction from mayor and council on what they would like. I know there's been talk of covenants. I know there's been talk of things you don't want to see and want to see. One of the discussions at the very bottom is, what is your vision for across the street to get it back on the tax rolls and get that sold for you? So that is going to be a top priority here in 2023 as well. This is a new thing. Number 7, quarterly community outreach tours. In 2023, our office is going to be doing community outreach tours and inviting state and federal officials to tour communities and see what their dollars are doing. I would like Cambridge to be the first one for 2023. And I'd like to use across the street as the first tour and the first idea of what you're doing here in Cambridge. So what that would mean is there'd be invitations out to our local, our county, and also our state officials, but also our federal officials. Senator Ernst is taking a tour in Boone County next month and I'm helping organize. I'd like to get that on the radar and start getting our federal officials here and start doing these tours to see what's going on in our area. So if it's okay with mayor and council, I'd like to put that on the docket for the first visit. It'd be happening when the weather's nicer. So it'd be happening like in March, April. We'd set up a tour of the Water Street project, bring them in, give them a tour of the community and see what's going on in Cambridge. More details to come and more planning, but I wanted to run it by you first.
Sounds great.
Okay. And then lastly, discussion goals for economic development 2023. I know you're just starting budgeting. I know that's the time of year where everyone's valuing everything else because you're trying to figure out where every dollar can go. In March, I would like to set a date for a special work session for mayor and council and staff to figure out exactly what you want to do for the next 3 years on economic development. Housing, infrastructure, what are your goals for the next 3 years? And then we have a plan moving forward where we can start targeting those dollars with NIPA and we can start chasing those grant dollars. You know, the next storm intake projects, that's CDBG. Maybe that's a project that we can start chasing and planning for in 2024. Those are the type of things we need to plan for now. I don't want to put it on your plate during budget, but it's something I'd like to have your approval to help schedule in March. So we can just have it be like an hour or two. I bring cookies, it'd be fun. It'd be fun talking about everything that you want to happen in Cambridge over the next 3 years. And then we have a plan moving forward. So that way I'm doing this and giving you updates on all the great things happening.
That sounds great.
So we need to start making a list.
I've got it. It's a long one.
So I know everyone has a list, but what I'm looking for is consensus over the next 3 years. So if you have like a top 5 each year you'd like to target, you know, these goals, paving the street, putting this infrastructure in, buying this new fire truck, whatever it is, you know what the goals are and everyone agrees to them. So it helps me and helps MIPA, helps us target our federal dollars officials as well. So we can go out and get those funding dollars for you. Right, that's it. Is there any questions?
Nice job.
Yeah, no, thank you for the information.
Thanks for your help.
Yep. Glad to do it.
We're excited.
Now, I will be sending you updates regularly moving forward to mayor and full council. So you have my contact info as well. Barb knows me well. We're bouncing emails at least a couple times a week usually. So if you have any questions or like, hey, is this a possibility? Fiber, whatever, shoot me a message and I'm happy to respond. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. All right, moving on to the consent agenda. Approval of the minutes from December 12th council meeting.
No, all of this gets voted on.
Okay.
All of it does.
Approval list of claims.
How can it all be voted on at the same time? What if somebody wanted to disagree with one of them?
These are routine business items that will be acted upon by one roll call vote. Separate
One roll
discussion.
call vote for each one, I'm pretty sure. I'm not,
Without separate discussion unless a council member.
oh, unless somebody asked for it. You're right, I'm sorry.
No, that's, I'm sorry.
Unless somebody asked for it to
Yeah.
be comments on.
So move to approve the, what are they called?
Consent
Consent agenda, sorry.
Second.
Thank you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Ayes have it.
Is that a roll call?
Yeah,
vote?
looks like it.
Like,
Says
did
roll
you have
No,
to,
no roll call.
by show of hands?
Sorry.
Okay.
Isn't
No
it?
roll call.
No,
No, you actually say McBreen,
no, that's only on resolutions and ordinances.
well, that's, but it
On this
says
paper, it says roll call.
one roll
One
call
roll
vote.
call vote. Okay, we'll do it. Mackey,
Yep.
McBreen,
Aye.
Harper,
Aye.
Bassett,
Aye.
Baxter,
Aye.
Good.
Good.
All right, moving on to departments. Department reports. I don't have fire on here, but Matt, would you do fire first?
I'll start out with the remodel. We got 4 of the bathroom doors hung, and stained, and working on putting the last touches on those to get them hung. Flooring just kind of started going down a little bit in the bathrooms so that we can get the vanities and that set already, which has already been purchased. We have all the toilets, urinals, vanities, all that stuff, stall dividers. Bathrooms will be able to be put back together. Just kind of, we had a work day on Saturday.
Are you guys doing all the work yourselves?
Yes, yep. And after that, we'll get the flooring done. Then we'll be trim. But until we get funding back from trustees or whatever, the bath or the kitchen is pretty much at standstill to buy cabinets and countertops and all that. That's pretty much the only thing we have left to purchase other than trim, which,
Is all the kitchen stuff,
yeah, just the countertops.
just the countertops?
Yeah, we have a big 3-bay, a 4-bay refrigerator, like what's in here, basically. And we got donated from Casey's. We got a 3-bay sink. We got garbage disposal. We got faucets and everything. Just countertops and. So we're working on it our own, so it's kind of slow go, Saturdays at a time, a few hours here and there. What we're doing. Last year, we had 211 calls. 47 of those calls, 50 of those calls were to Maxwell. 47 of them were medical, 3 of them were fire. Out of 211, we had 23 calls to Huxley, 20 of them were medical, 3 of them were fire. Those numbers, I couldn't tell you how many they called for mutual aid, or if it was just us showing up to their town. We have 17 people on now. We got 2 new last month.
Really?
They live out by Green Lake, a couple that ran out there from Jeremy Oakley.
Sure.
But they're already certified and everything else, so.
Are they like EMS or?
One of them's EMS, we're trying to get, she's from Minnesota, so we're trying to make sure all her stuff comes over and she's good to do patient care in Iowa. Her husband, her fiance is fire, 1 and 2. Great couple, they're real enthusiastic about it. We have potential for another one coming on. She's wanting to get her EMT and go to school to be a paramedic and stuff. So she gets the time to get her on. Out of that 211 calls, we had 1,071 responses. So when you guys see that $6,400 that you paid out for people being there, that's that 1,071 times we've taken. So I mean, if you think about it at an hourly rate, I mean, we're only giving our people $5 a call. I mean, we put in a lot of time, plus on top of that, we're doing, we had our best year of doing mandatory training. I mean, put an incentive out there and everybody rocked it this year. I mean, it's huge. I think we only had maybe 2 people that didn't get to their 24 hours of continue that the state wants you to have for fire training. But life is busy and everything else. As far as EMS, we're sitting good. We just got to do our updates and keep going on that.
So you said they don't, some of them didn't get all their hours. Is that a requirement or is that just a recommendation?
The state would like to call it a requirement, but the state also sees it as everybody's volunteer.
So it's not like they
Yeah.
can't be on the department for a while or
Right.
something because they didn't get their hours.
Exactly, yep. That 1,071 responses, I mean, that's great. That's huge, because if it's a lip assist, that's okay, you're overdoing it, but that lip assist could turn into a broken hip or CPR progress or something like that. So having more than one person or two people there at a time is huge. Sometimes lift assists are 450-pound people. I mean, so it's huge. We've got a great team over there.
So how's that working with Maxwell? I know you guys used to get a fee from them for assisting. Do you not have that anymore?
So they had some people take their EMT training and they are not calling us as much. They are okay with only having one person. If it is needed, then we go. Daytime's tough, and it's tough for any community. I mean, you look at the 20 calls to Huxley. A lot of those will be during the day, where there's just nobody around. To have Dale and Doris around for us is a blessing.
Absolutely.
But do we
But
charge
so-
Maxwell anymore
So,
like you
no,
used to?
so them getting the people that they need, and we've cut back, they no longer find it a need for billing, they think they can handle it, they call us if they can't, type of thing. They're not first paging us along with Maxwell anymore. So we went from being auto aid, which would be when they page us first with them, to mutual aid, which they page Maxwell first. And then 5 minutes later, if nobody's going to, then they page us. Which is tough with ambulance. I mean, it's 9 miles over there. It's 9 miles from Mary Greeley or from Story County Hospital to Maxwell. So we're usually getting there about the same time or maybe just a little bit before. We kind of hear it. And if it's just a lift assist or something like that, then the ambulance will call us off. And stuff like that. Our average response time right now is about 3 minutes. From the time we get paged out to the time we're en route, it's about 3 minutes. Which is about the fastest that we can.
You said you had 17 people. Is that good? Could we use more?
So we have enough room for 25.
Okay.
That being said, then we're getting to the point where we're needing more gear,
Sure.
things like that.
Where do you guys at on like fundraising and stuff next? Or do you have a next
So we'll
event
probably
planned?
do Easter, Fireman's Days. Fall Fest is always depending on where we're at with the station and all that. Hopefully it's done by then and we can go ahead and do it. Our Christmas this year was the lowest fundraising event that I've had as chief, lowest amount of money brought in. And we brought in, I think it was like $625, I think, something like that.
You shouldn't feel bad about that because I came off a record year with Tony Sortas last year and just got hammered this year. Not get people who don't.
That being said, we got, every year I usually try to get $1,000 raised for toys. And I cut that back this year. I only did roughly 60 to 70, 75 toys, all we bought. And it was a small box that we put toys box this year, so. I mean, it's good, every dime, every penny counts, and we appreciate the community to come up and support us and everything. It's just a lot lower than years past.
Yeah.
Didn't advertise like we did in previous years. It's a lot of work, a lot of hands on deck to do it. Put all of it on, so. The more people you have coming through the door, the more help you need in the back. And
Sure.
wait on us a little bit. Plus me for this time.
How are you guys with equipment? Equipment, okay?
Yeah, everything
Everything working?
is working right now. Yeah, nothing that's down or anything like that.
Okay. All right. Any questions for Matt?
Anybody want to look?
Well, I know you weren't here back when I was chief club, but they mentioned they would be willing to work with you guys to help with something on the Fall Fest. And do it down at the park and they would help. They have people to put things up and they have lots of volunteers, they said, to help with those type of things, so.
Good. Thank you. I don't have the library on here either. Lori, do you want to give us a quick rundown on the library?
I had Bart pass out a flyer. We, all the librarians of Story County met with Story County supervisors. We meet with them every year. That was at the end of November. And what we're requesting from them is, they always give us Story County money, obviously, but the goal is that it's more towards rural patrons and helping them to get the services they need from libraries. And in the past, Ames and Nevada, the bigger ones, have gotten a bigger chunk of money, but it's really working on equity. And all the smaller libraries have asked for a higher amount. And as librarians, we all voted yes for that. And Ames is taking a big cut, but they're trying to be more equitable. So obviously, we don't know what that will be yet. Our funds went up this year quite a bit. And so we're hoping that will go up even more for Y24. They're very, very supportive of libraries. And we always make kind of a brochure or pamphlet of what each library does. And they love receiving that. And I just wanted you guys to see them too at your leisure, all the things that happened in last year with Cambridge. Each month we are getting new patrons. So since COVID, we are just in December, we had 10 new patrons, 14 in November. And that's with people from Cambridge. I've heard a lot of people have said they moved to Cambridge in the last year or two, and they really wanted to come into the library, so I'm very happy about that. We also get some from Elkhart quite often, and I'm really trying to build that relationship to get as many Elkhart people in as possible. And then we became an interlibrary loan through all the ILL system. Before, when Aaron was here, the last director, we could loan out materials, but we weren't, or I'm sorry, we could receive materials from other libraries, but we weren't loaning them out. Now we're doing that as well. So that's increased our numbers dramatically. And so when it says I have 9 ILL libraries that are patrons, we get to count them as patron numbers, which increases money from the state. So I think I have over 80 libraries on the site now as part of our patron numbers. So our checkouts are continuing very well. In December, we had 401 checkouts and 376. I'm sorry, in November, 401, and then 376 in November. And that's including people using Bridges, which is extremely popular and a wonderful service that we can provide for everyone, but especially for the rural patrons. And the state had all librarians take a course, and it was preparing for disasters. And so they were wonderful and put together a whole brochure of how to fill it out, what to do. Dale was wonderful, and most of his names are on it for lots of things. And so I spent quite a bit of time putting this together, and then in case there was anything that would happen to the library, we'd have some preparedness for that. So I made a copy and I put it in Susan's office along with pictures of what the library looks like, what materials would need to be replaced. I gave one to our board president. I have one in our library, and then I have one in our filing cabinet here in the office. The state also requested one, so they have it too, just in case insurance or anything would happen. Our next kind of big projects, and Mike can kind of help me with this, as we're looking at our copy machine. we've had a lot of problems with the company that has serviced that, or lack of service, I should say. They overcharged us for many, many years, and that'll be done in April, so we're kind of looking at, you know, what should we do next? Should we just get a small printer, kind of like what Susan has in her office? Or should we work together with the city and do a contract? So that's kind of something I.
So are they taking it back? Are they taking the copier back?
We, I have no idea. They are a business that is almost impossible to get a hold of. They don't return their calls, they don't return their emails. They have flim-flammed us on so many different, well, one second they're gonna buy us out for $1,000, because we can buy it back for $1. Honestly, everybody in that board, and especially our librarian, our secretary, are working with this gap. I'm sure there are other service providers that are willing to work with a local municipality that can do a better job. And my sense of it is now is a very good time for Sue and her to get together and find out what exactly are your needs in this area of printing and copying and processing fax and that sort of thing. And see if there's not a vendor out there that can get us what you each need on either side of the hallway and work with us.
Have you checked with the
Provide us
other
that
libraries
service
on
without
what
this
they do?
hoopla that's
They,
going on, and then we can just wash our hands.
When's their contract done? When are you done?
It's been done for over a year. We haven't paid him a cent.
No, we're still paying.
yeah, we do.
Okay, we are still paying, but we're not on contract. It's, I don't know what it is we're paying him for.
We're paying, yeah, a fee of $176 every month.
Depending on how many copies and stuff you run.
And it's ridiculous. And I have talked to other libraries. There are several that use a company from Marshalltown, and it's $80 a month, and they come out service without any charge. And it's like, you can copy a lot of copies. I don't even come close to the copies that they service. So that's one company that several libraries have talked about. And we've also talked about just getting our own little printer and, you know, for $400 at Best Buy and.
Right.
Yeah, the Historical Association got an EcoTank printer.
Yeah.
And you can print forever with those. 'Cause they,
Well, I
you don't have
think
to buy
now's
cartridges.
the time to
But does it have a
remedy
fax
this, so that
also? They have
we're
fax.
saving.
And our fax,
Get rid of
and
it.
our fax does not work half the time, so.
So,
It does
That,
have
that's
fax.
something we can work on at a work
Multiple
session,
scans.
or
Yeah.
I can come in and work with Sue.
okay,
Fair.
We got it at Staples for $4.50. You can get a lot of.
Did you want me to throw that other thing out right now as well then? It's easy,
What?
credit card.
Oh, sure, yes.
Okay. What is the status of the
We'll hit that
library?
here in a
well, we'll
minute.
get the,
Oh, we're gonna get there?
We'll hit it.
we'll get
Okay.
there.
We'll hit it.
And then I guess it's been brought to you, I don't know her status, my person who works on Saturdays, she went to the surgery today, you know, she has breast cancer. And I have not talked to her today, because I figured she needed time with her family and to see what the surgeon said today, so I'm not sure where that is at or what Saturdays. She wants to be here if she can. She said it's her happy place to be here, so hoping she's able to come back. I don't know the status of that. But also, we're already planning for our summer programs, and I've booked 5 presenters already, so we're excited for that. That's a huge draw to the library and promotes summer reading, and a great way for kids to be in our library in the summer, and programs for all the families. Right now, my goal too is to work more on adult programs and to have more of those. We haven't been able to, just because COVID, there weren't many presenters coming out. And now I'm hearing more that are willing to do that, so that's our next goal. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Dale, you want to round out the top 3 there?
I'm gonna start with the water.
Okay, okay.
Right now, about a third of the way through the lead surface line inventory for the city. I've got a little over 300 up to do. I got right at 100 up and done, so. We just put on another 30 today, so we're down to around probably under 200 to finish, so.
Are you able to hook those things up when it's cold as hell outside?
The well house, right in the middle of that blizzard, the heater went out in the well house and froze the check valve in the valve, and it split. So I, Bobby, Susan know about that, and I think tomorrow we will have it put back together. We're still waiting on a spacer.
Are we on another water right now?
No.
Okay,
So, yeah, we have 2 wells, so we were okay.
Okay.
And not long after that, the high service pumps, both of them went down on them. So, we got,
is that easy fix? For high service pumps? No?
the one was, the number 2 was, guy come in and got it reset and we don't know what happened. It just tripped and he got reset. The number 1 blew the main breaker out of it and it's obsolete. Fine. So there's a chance, Bruce said there's a chance that they could put an updated one in that old cabinet with some relays and whatnot. And get it back up and running, or he's gonna have to change out that bus box or something, bus box, and update that whole thing to get it to work. So we got, hopefully we'll have 2 options. Changing that bus box out, he said it's gonna be expensive, but my opinion is I don't want to half-ass it. And if it comes down to it, I want to do it right.
Right.
So,
Yeah, everybody needs water.
yeah, and I don't want to be without 2 pumps, because if one goes out, we're right back to where we were. So we used rural water for about probably not even an hour, and we got that pump up and running. So that was about it for broken stuff.
That's good. That's fine.
Isn't that enough?
Yeah, and we, for the EPA, we gotta do a little bit of testing, it's no cost to us, we just pull the samples, send it off, and they take care of the rest, so.
Okay.
But we gotta physically pull the samples. So
Does everybody in town get a report back from the water? Is that one of those ones where they send out to everybody, kind of tells you how your water is?
the only, the consumer confidence report, that'll be coming up in July, I think.
Okay,
And everybody, I think we ended up posting it on Facebook, so we don't have to mail it out to everybody, so, yeah. And I think we have to print it in paper. So between the 2, we don't have to.
Post it on our bulletin boards and stuff for people who don't have like Facebook or.
Usually we keep a stack of them up here,
Yep.
just in case somebody wants to look at it. But a lot of people just, it's. Sewer, we're good, roads, we want to keep a little closer track on the fuel, so there's a little inline gauge that we get at Tyson's. Yeah, we figured we put one on the gas, one on the diesel, then the fire guys.
okay,
Be checking their gas,
Yeah.
right, logging it
We'll
in,
know how
we
many
can log it in,
gallons.
so then we know exactly who's using more. So
Okay. You have
Those
some way
gauges, they
to,
weren't very expensive either,
they're
were
like
they?
$150 a
Okay.
piece.
you have some way to keep a clipboard there or something for,
Yeah,
check it
we'll
all
probably be one of the station.
Okay. yeah, absolutely. That's great.
If that's okay with everybody, I'll pick it up. And get them out.
Sounds good.
That is it. As far as the high service pumps, I'll keep it.
How old do you think those are?
What's that?
How old do you think they are? Kind of like some
They're all-
original stuff. So it's time.
It's time. And my thought is, we'll probably just have to change it out and get it upgraded, because what's gonna happen the next time? We're gonna be right back in the same boat.
Yep. Jumping wires. Okay. Thanks, Dale. Maggie? We got their, add to your park or something, Barry?
Well, I'm not gonna insult your intelligence, but piece of paper that I distributed earlier.
Yep.
Already made a couple of additions to it, so besides what's already printed there, those are just, that's not a for sure thing. It's a wish list of possible projects that could be in the offing. Part of what the board will do is prioritize that and look at what is the most feasible for us to be doing. And then we'll start fitting those into that 3, 5, and 10-year plan with regards to where we can put things. The other thing is, as we are able to get better at writing grants, we can accelerate the implementation of programming and putting in amenities, or we have to slow our roll because we don't really know if we've got the ability to be supported by that. I will note that you need to add a pond improvement project that I visited with a guy this afternoon on the phone with regards to improving the water quality of our pond down there and the fishery and habitat improvements. I failed to put in the tree planting, just Dale's not in here, so I can mention tree planting trees, but we lost quite a few trees to the derecho and other storms. That's something we can do is strategically put those trees where we need them most. People are not talking about trees. And then I had John Campicani septic or septic. You rat me out.
Yeah, I hear you, right?
We also added a guy named William Borchardt and Jennifer Day, and we're tentatively planning on meeting the last Tuesday of the month, but meeting every other month or as needed. So we'll start those meetings Tuesday, 31st of January.
Okay. Where are you gonna have that at?
But it says Ballard East Elementary School.
You gonna have it out there?
Yeah. Why would I haul my stuff here?
What time? Is it on here?
Yep.
No, it's not.
It says Tuesday, 31 January, 18 to 19.
Oh, down at the bottom.
Ballard East Elementary.
Oh, that's the
Tentative.
time.
That's not the
I
time.
know, that's,
That would
I
be-
know, it has a full note.
Is that 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock?
7. Says 7 back to
Oh, my
6.
God.
7?
Lane, did you want this?
6 to 7.
Did you want
6 to
this?
7.
You didn't get a list of this. Don't worry about it here.
Where are you gonna have it at in the school?
Yes, sir. Either in the library or in the conference, probably the library. Because I'm familiar with the electronics there.
Can other council?
You gonna let me
members
know?
come?
You gonna let me know when?
Yeah, come on, it'll be fun.
Yeah.
I don't know any of these people.
One of the things for grant writing, that's what that NEPA does.
Yeah.
So as soon as you get the grant, contact Caleb, he'll
Yeah.
write the grant. So that's what we want. I agree.
Yeah, 4 people.
Yep.
Just 2 now.
Nope, there's only 2 other. I said we added William Borchardt, Jennifer Day. After I'd already put this up.
So we just need one more.
Nobody wants to volunteer anymore. I'm getting fairly concerned over that. I mean, across the board, the level of volunteerism is just zapped. I mean, when we built those ball fields, Dale, we had to beat people off with a stick because there were too many of them. I mean, I can remember being out there in the rain, slipping and sliding, tripping over each other. So, and many people out there. Kids nowadays, that was that safety affairs, yes. Just didn't sell shots now.
Can we back up to water for a second? I received an email from the Iowa Regional Utilities Association. They're working with youth and shelter services to provide water to the facility southwest of Cambridge. One of the routes that they are considering would be to work with Story County Conservation to utilize their trail corridor. In order for this to work, we would need to run through a small area of Cambridge city limits. Please refer to the red line on the attached map. As you can see, this is easily the shortest route compared to the alternatives shown in blue and would be the most economical for YSS. Would the city be agreeable to permitting us to run through a portion of the city limits to achieve this? We are happy to sign an agreement making it clear that this does not give us any territory rights within the city.
This
If
is
that
like
is
this is like a water easement. Or utility, wouldn't it be?
Tying into rural water.
Huh?
They're tying into rural water.
Is that what they're doing?
Rural Water Authority, that's our emergency connection. is through
Okay.
them.
So that where they want to run the line at
So Story
is
County
on
hasn't,
city property.
the Story County hasn't approved that to run down the bike trail yet, have they?
No, they said they're gonna work with Story County on that.
And this is from YSS themselves.
No, it's actually from the Iowa Regional Utilities Association. They are working with YSS.
Do we know what part of Cambridge they're asking?
Yep. Pass it down. Yeah, be like right where you want to put a trailhead in that. It's kind of in that area right there.
Will be underground.
Hmm.
But he was at on the whole YSS project.
Say pipe diameter or anything.
Isn't that usually like an 8-inch line?
Not for water.
No?
Or who should I
I'm certain.
give that to?
4-inch.
4.
Who should that information go to?
Yeah, we'll just hold off until Story County's figured out something.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Let's Story County Lakeway.
Where's the city property that it's going through? I mean,
It's right down the road at the end of the bike trail comes down. And then depending on, I guess, which side they go on that gravel road. Sides it's on the north side, isn't it? Is there,
Water is.
You know, this whole
it's on the south side,
South side.
People
so that's county over there.
I'm more inclined to use 2
Mike,
words.
By looking at that line, does it show that the county says, no, they're not gonna do it?
It's just a dotted line. It could be on left side of the road, right side of the road, down the middle of the road. That's it. But then I also want to play nice. You know what I'm saying?
They run out to 210, run it out the road.
It's already a line that goes there.
As long as it doesn't interfere with the ability to establish a trailhead amenity from our park department on that property.
I don't know how you put it down that trail.
It's a railway grade. For one, it's gonna be all rock underneath there.
I don't know, wonder who's paying for it.
I'm sure YSS is. They brokered this thing in the past. So there's.
They're part of the city limits.
Outdoor fitness circuit, huh? I do like that trail project really from the East Elementary over to First Farm. If you can figure a way to get across the highway, you know, that some parents gonna think, oh my gosh, the kid's gonna cross the highway, but definitely is going across
First
there.
off, it's not hot. It's coming.
Okay.
Well, that's what I was
You
saying.
know how fast they drive on
Yeah.
it, right?
Just use, crossing.
Should we do a tunnel? Do a
Do
tunnel.
that.
Let's do a tunnel.
Span
We're gonna put a bridge, she wants to spend some money, I was gonna dig a hole, but she wants to just put a bridge. over
You
it.
have you ever been back there, you know the bridge that's out there, you know what that's built on it? The old original water tower is now, is the length of the water tower.
Very cool.
The guys, campers in my backyard, built that thing over 100, and then built it in its entirety.
Yeah.
Tractor welded a semi-trailer, axle to it, hauled it down there, back to it. It's hilarious.
It is.
We're good.
Good. All right, let's move on to finances, economic development.
The final paper was turned in yesterday, last week, so
Did they give a turnaround time at all?
I'll reach out to her tomorrow.
And this is the bank down here, Fidelity, right? We're doing this all through.
No, US Bank.
Well, we're still doing this bank.
Yeah. That's who almost all municipalities, because it has to be. part of that. So that was all turned in, so Dale, Susan, and Lori will each get their. reports.
So
Well, there you go.
you're gonna follow up tomorrow
Yeah.
to see where they're at with it?
Yep.
Communications? Nada? You good, Barb?
Yep.
We communicate all the time. Would you put out like 5 emails this morning or last night? Oh, last night.
I was in training in Johnson every 2 seconds. My computer go off. Everybody I was sitting with, teachers in my building, go, oh my gosh, there's something happening at the building. I'm like, it's just Barb.
All right, moving on, business items. Employee handbook. We worked together during the week of Christmas to New Year's. Kind of hammered out some of it. There's still a couple of changes here we're working on. Do we want to discuss those? What changes, like one of the items? One of mine is the sick time.
Yeah, sick leave. That was
Sick
one
leave.
we need to make sure we have that way.
It's changed from what we talked about at Christmas time.
Well, it got changed back. Instead of doing the one a day,
Yeah,
go with the one a month,
yeah.
right?
1 hour.
We're just gonna do 4 or?
4 hours a month,
4 hours.
which makes it 6 days a year is what it
Right.
balances out to.
Okay. I'll
And
check
they're,
that.
it's accrued.
4 hours, that's carried over.
No,
See, I think it should be carried over.
So are
That's
you,
starting every year.
are you gonna start encouraging people to be sick then, by giving them all that sick time or?
or you can,
Well, you can't just use
You
your
or
can
you
sick
can
time
say
for
that
anything.
2 days can be carried over.
What happens if they get a catastrophic illness?
Why can't I use it anytime?
That's what I was saying. They get really sick and they're out for 4 or 5 weeks.
Well, you have short-term disability then, when you have that kick in?
Yeah, you have to apply for it.
Well, if you didn't have accrued sick leave.
Right. So.
Either way, it's 6
Well,
one
here's
and a
the
half
deal.
dozen the other
So
one.
what
Most
is-
of my
what-
places I've worked with government, it accrues up to a certain point,
Yeah.
and then
Yes.
you lose it.
So it's 790 hours,
720 is. okay.
720,
Is the max.
so that's 90 days. So if you didn't use it for 7 years, you could accrue 90 days of sick time.
Right,
But if you retire and you can't just take those as a payout either.
right.
No,
It has to
most
be
sick
used
time
for
they
sick
don't
time.
pay, yeah. And like I was saying, like sick time, I can't just, take a week off of work and use sick days for that unless there's kind of proof for it.
Okay.
like
I
It's about
COVID.
that kind of karma.
Well, a lot of handbooks have in there that if you miss more than 2 days, you have to have a doctor's note.
And this one does have that in there.
Mhm.
It does have.
Is that right?
Okay, that's what we have.
Yeah, if you miss more than 2 days, you have to bring a doctor's note.
3 days.
3 days or is it 2 days? Is it 3 days?
I
I think ours is
Oh,
3, it's 24 hours.
24 hours is what it says in the handbook.
So that's 2 days for ours. So
Right.
after 2, if you miss 2 full days and you're gonna be gone again, you need a doctor's note
3 days or more.
for a 3rd day.
3 days. So, okay, so 4 hours sick leave and then accrue up to 720, but. I know, well, it's a benefit. You want to get employees to work for the city. It's a
Well, but they
benefit.
gotta be here to work for the city. It's not like you can take a weekend off. Can you, Dale? Can you take a whole weekend off? I mean, you've gotta check water every day, right? Every day you gotta check water. So if we're giving out 90 days of sick time, somebody else is gonna check the water.
And then,
While you're hiring another person, right?
right, that's why we're hiring.
Well, they both got 90 days now, so
No, it has to be accrued. It has-
Okay, accrued.
Accrued, yeah, they don't start out with it. And that's what you do for an evaluation. So if you have somebody that's having a lot of sick time, that's where you use your evaluations for when it comes wage increases or anything for them. You keep a record of when they're sick, you keep a record of the time off that they take, and that's what you use for your bartering when it comes time for a wage increase for somebody.
Will that be you keeping track?
Yeah, I'm gonna be doing payroll anyway. So if somebody's gone, it has to be on the time card. What their vacation is, that's why I'm meeting with
So
Sawyer to get the payroll.
we've
program.
got two opposing schools of thought. One is up to 6 days of sick leave per year annually, and then a reset, or you can accrue that up to, what, 90 hours?
720 hours.
Oh,
We don't have to keep it at 720. We could do a different accrued, a lower accrued amount from
What
that.
if somebody gets sick?
That's what I
Yeah.
Like cancer.
Yeah.
something like that. They have to take quite a bit of time off.
but that, we have FLMA, we have, what is that, ducks, so, Aflac, you know, that
Well, that's
continues.
You have to be a member of
Yeah,
Aflac to get
That's-
Aflac.
That hardly pays anything.
Yeah.
6 days ain't much. Yeah,
No.
When you got kids and stuff like that.
one gets sick, one for 2 days, and then 2 more get sick. I mean, I realize you've got a job to do too, but you're trying.
So are these personal sick days in addition to or identical to family leave days?
Well, you
Yeah, but
can't
they
get, you
can
can't
get
get
vacation
family
in
leave
addition.
unless you've used up your sick time.
So if she's my daughter, and she gets sick and I have to take time off to take care of her,
That's sick time.
that's
In
sick
the
time or
handbook,
family
it's-
emergency leave.
In the handbook, it shows to
Okay.
care for family, immediate family members.
I'd give you that time off.
That's
anyway.
6, that's the same thing.
Come on.
But you
So
don't,
what do you want to do?
I think you should carry over. I don't think you should have a reset. That'd be crazy.
And we want to have it maxing out at 6,435,000 hours,
720 hours.
720? Is that kind of a standard number or?
Where did that number come from?
Came from a previous
Kind of an industry standard?
For government.
I don't recall it being that many for my government job, but that's all right. I don't get sick.
But you guys have never several years at 4 hours a month.
That'd take a long time to.
Probably 14 years maybe.
Right.
What's that, 700?
Yeah,
Just 7 years.
No, that was.
at 4
Oh,
hours
yeah, yeah,
a month,
yeah,
yeah.
no.
So,
Yeah, it's gonna be 14 years for them to put that many hours.
So I changed it to 4 hours with 720 max. 4 hours a month.
I can live with that. Mr. Beer's just fuming.
I mean, you're talking 4
You're
hours
meeting,
a
all right,
month,
you're
like
meeting.
4 hours a month. It's gonna take forever to get 720 hours.
Yeah.
Forever.
Why not just lump it into their vacation?
Like PTO, just put it all into one,
It's all. in
because
one.
we don't have a format for that. That's why we didn't go that way, because we didn't have it already out there in a
15
format.
years,
15?
15 years to max out, to.
And that's with not taking any vacation sick
So
time.
you'd have to have your,
That would be
15
not
years
missing
for
any sick
attendance,
days in
so.
15 years.
But you have pretty good vacation by then also, so. Mm.
You should.
So what are we doing?
So do you want to
I think you already agreed, didn't you?
add that, and then you want to adapt the handbook with those changes?
For 4 hours.
Yeah, 4 hours
Okay.
a month.
Are you okay with
720
this?
is approved.
Are you okay with it?
Fine.
Then if you get all that done, then we can do the vote, because I have to do a resolution for a new
Okay,
handbook.
we'll do it next
So we
week.
could add that to our work, we can make it a work session, budget session.
Okay.
Has everybody had a chance to kind of go
Because
through?
work
it?
sessions are not open to the public.
If you, but we can make it a work session. Work sessions are open to public.
So, yeah, budget sessions are too.
Yep, so we can, and so we can still act on it,
Okey dokey.
so we can get these positions posted.
Yes.
I think we can still post the position, though, can't we?
Yeah.
Because the.
Yeah, we can go ahead and get
Wait
it
a
posted.
month or whatever
Yep,
for it,
yep,
so.
get them posted and then we'll finalize the handbook, yes.
Okay, sounds good.
Are there any other questions? Moving on, Opera House update, realtor. Last week, 2 weeks ago, we met with 2 people.
Yep.
You wanna, either one of you wanna fill in everybody else on candidates, who you like, who you don't?
Well, I think, we agree, we like the guy.
Corey Sidwell from Capstone.
We like the guy who visited with us. It does sound an awful lot like it makes more sense as owners of the property right now to go ahead and try to find tenants for the rental units, the residential units. The property becomes vastly more marketable with tenants in it than if we were attempting to market and sell it without people living in there.
And that would be a ways off because we have to have 3 public hearings to put it on a list, and then.
He had a very positive attitude about its ability to get sold, but the disappointing part of it was that I don't think we're ever gonna recover.
He's a numbers guy.
Yeah.
Very much.
I don't think unless all of a sudden the housing market just all of a sudden doesn't about face. I don't think we're close to getting what we got into it.
Well, did you
Yeah,
give
we
a
might
ballpark
fall.
Sad, what was it, 750?
Yeah, 8-ish.
In what?
But,
1.4.
so I worked with Maxine yesterday on budget stuff.
Maxine is the numbers guru that you
Yep,
came across?
Yep, yep, and
She found an error in
we
these
had,
numbers?
we amended the TIF that originally was sent in. We called Ted Nelson and Rhonda Sykes at Story County to give us some assistance on this TIF because we weren't understanding it. They recommended that we change our figures because of how it was working and how TIF was being reported, was so that we could get the max dollars in TIF. But in doing so, it depleted money from our general fund, from our tax levy. So we turned it around, and Maxine and I were sticking some figures in yesterday. And by doing so, it has almost doubled our general fund for funds coming in. So then the next question, we're gonna get a hold of Ted Nelson again, and what was told to us is we can take some of our general fund dollars and money that we are in debt with because we went over budget on something, you can use some of your general fund money to be applied for that. So we're gonna check with Ted Nelson, but
So these sort of accounting errors, these accounting epiphanies, is there any malfeasance associated with this, or is this just simple errors?
Maxine and I are just touching the tip of the iceberg right now on what we're getting into and what we're finding. So we've been asking a lot of questions, and having Ted Nielsen to reach out to has been very helpful.
He's the law.
Yeah, he's the one that actually was the presenter at the budget workshop that I went to. And he just very readily answers his phone and returns phone calls and tries to explain to us, because nobody understands TIF. It's very difficult to understand how it all works, but it's also going to put some money in some other funds coming back through the tax levy.
So is this something to be excited about?
I think so. I think so. Having more money in our general fund when it comes time, when we do budget and, you know, other departments that we help fund and stuff, we were depleting our general fund account very rapidly. And what we were getting back because we were taking it all in TIF. Well, TIF can only be applied to projects that you are using TIF for. So, you know, you're weighing that scale there on where the funds are going. So it could be done that way to take all the TIF dollars, but in the long run, it was depleting our general fund. So this is going to take our general fund back up again. Our TIF dollars are less, but our general fund dollars are back up. So it, you know, You just have more, when you have more money in your general fund, you have more options of where you can put that money, where you can budget that money. When it's in TIF, you're only allowed certain things to spend it on in TIF.
Only one way.
Yeah,
So meanwhile, back on the farm, do we need to do a council action with regards to Corey?
No,
Okay.
no.
no.
Mm-mm. It was just kind of an update.
That's all there.
So Corey, where to go, with Corey? That's still understanding. Corey, you're gonna let him know? You will let him know?
I will let him know. And he's open to coming to council. if you want him to.
Next month? Have him
Sure.
come next
I'll tell
month?
him that.
I think you guys will like it.
All right, moving on. City code update, state code.
I talked to Bill Goldie, and he said we might have to do a whole recodification by Iowa law.
Read
So
what? Read what?
redo the whole code recodification.
What?
If we have too many updates, he told me, Bill Goldie told me that we might have to do more than just. I'll ask him, why, we need the lawyer to come in. We haven't been updating codes. We've passed codes, ordinances, or passed codes, but we haven't been putting them in the book. We don't have the final book. We need to figure out how to get all that together.
Who's running this place? Who's running it?
The council.
Okay.
So that might be something, yeah, ask the lawyer on
Did he
Friday.
say how many, like how many codes? Or how many codes you want to put in, then qualifies it to have a code redo the
I'll
code?
check, he gave me a link, I'll check on that link.
You have to check with the attorney too on about us listing that property.
Yeah, he needs to do a,
We're still meeting at 09 with that.
We're almost there.
Oh,
on Friday. on Friday.
Yep.
And I think Tamara's planning to come, or, I don't know, on Friday to meet the lawyer.
She didn't look like she.
Okay,
Well, I told Bobby I would if I heard what time it was, so.
9:00 on Friday.
That's coming.
So I'll
Yeah,
have
it's
to
coming.
confirm. But I'll try.
I still
Okay.
can't figure out how to tell my boss.
So city code, any other further questions, information on that? Moving on to city attorney. So the city attorney, we talked with Mike Marquest and Kelly Grossman from her firm, Maple Grove in Nevada. They have suggested we find somebody else because they are too busy.
Oh, I thought you meant other than Tom.
Oh, no.
Well, no, I mean, he recommended it, but that's what's happened. I mean, we've looked into this and called them several times and they referred us to find somebody else. So Mike did refer us to this Tim Hiller out of State Center. He's a up and coming attorney, hungry. So we have a meeting with him this Friday at 9 a.m. I believe he's coming here
Yes, he's in here.
and
Did I send like invites out to that?
I don't think he did.
I think I
Yeah, I think he did.
I don't think you did.
So we have a count on who's all coming in Friday, who wants to be in on it? We gotta shuffle
I'll
out
be
some
in Sioux
people.
Falls.
Oh, you'll be gone now. So that opens up to you two, anybody else? Anybody else? Anyone?
I
I'll
will
let you
try.
know tomorrow.
Yeah.
I gotta get the confirmation.
Really good if somebody would be here, but
I'll be here.
you and I.
Potentially. be
I did send him a
here.
couple, he said what's the name of the law firm that we did before?
Maple Grove.
They sent him a list. Did you get that?
Well,
email?
Marquest sent,
Marquest says.
was supposed to send all the paperwork over to Tim and have
Yeah.
him look over it all.
And I sent him a list saying we needed the city, that Opera House legal listing, we need city code updates, we need this abatement, I said, we need so many things we need to.
We need,
Well, don't scare him.
Lewis's
Don't
law
scare him. Don't
office.
scare him away.
No, I think he was.
we need that quick deed done before taxes are due in
I said
March too.
there's several quick deeds we need. So. They'll be
Good.
ready.
People just want to let Susan know. And if we got too many people, we can shuffle some people around.
What are you talking about? sir?
Well, you know, you can't have everybody there at once, or we gotta post it. Come on. So, all right, any further questions on city attorney? Moving on to set a date for budget work session.
So Maxine's gonna be gone for a couple weeks, so her and I looked at a calendar, she gets back sometime on the 23rd. I would like Maxine to be able to come, she wants to come to the meeting to help explain everything that we're working on, because her and I will probably get together that 28th or 29th to hammer out more stuff to be able to present to you guys. So I was wondering if we could do it on the 30th.
Monday,
Yes, Monday the 30th.
It works for me.
time, did she,
Yeah, she.
I mean,
usually
she's
works-
coming from Clive, so,
Right, but she says she has some time, some days. She said she'd come up in the afternoon and meet me, but I don't know about that Monday, if she has that off or not.
the 30th.
Yeah, but if with the work session and budget stuff, if we could start a little bit sooner, it would be nice. 6 or 6:30.
6:30.
Yeah, she's gotta drive all the way back.
Yeah. I mean, if we could get
Stay at
started.
Mike's
on-
house. You just stay at your house.
Sure.
Yeah,
You should cook.
probably.
So what time do we want to say?
You want to come to these
6:30.
private?
If I can move around a meeting.
6:30?
6:30.
6:30.
Okay.
6:30 on the 30th. Was there any more on the budget there? Joe, do you have anything? Input?
Jerry's done.
He's done now.
Yeah, he's done.
So you're the intern chief, or you got the job, or they're gonna
No,
hire?
no. Nate's interim chief right now, so. We're in the process of looking, we've got like 29 applicants. for the job. We're still looking for a city administrator. Helps someone. I was busy for a while, doing stuff, investigations and stuff.
Okay.
I'll go around town. I'll share that
Okay.
place we talked about earlier.
Nice, thanks.
The budget's coming up. I talked with a couple of the trustees of the township. They're willing to sit down and discuss budget stuff. Whether or not they need any more money, that type of thing. If they stand with, you know, whether fire truck or anything like that. Get everybody together,
Mhm.
talk it out, so everybody's on the same page, everybody's got plans.
Got a time or anything?
That's up to you guys. I don't know. How you guys want to. Three people.
Are they wanting to do it this month or next month, or what are you, what's their thoughts?
I think it would help probably before we do budget. That way we got an idea what we got working with. going
See
in.
if maybe in February, if we do another budget workshop or a work session, that maybe he could come then by January of Maxine, and I can have some stuff hammered out and know a little bit where we're at in the budget figures.
Could we make that a work session
We can,
and just do it as that?
but we can set a date for February later for a work session. But we're still gonna be discussing budget. You're gonna be having extra budget meetings anyway.
Is there any further comments?
This emergency meeting for budget is on the 18th, so we're approving the budget, so our budget may have to go up to help cover
For where?
the emergency management commission.
Yeah, it's on the 18th.
Yeah, so that's for the budget, so, they thought that our budget was gonna have to go up to help cover the cost for radios and all that, so. I'll let you know what day we approve.
So then they dip in their pockets a little deeper. They can start
Well, they are, they're gonna raise property taxes.
saving. Yeah, great.
That's what they're gonna do. No, I'm serious, that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna raise property taxes. That's what they're gonna do.
So I also received an email, the Ames Commerce is, they're having an economic outlook breakfast on January 18th. And this was an invite if anybody wanted to attend. The keynote speaker is going to forecast local, state, and regional opportunities, challenges, and economic trends for Boone and Story County. So I don't know if anybody wants to attend that. We received an email from a very concerned paramedic who was on site of a call at 312 Sycamore, which is our old schoolhouse. He has some very serious safety concerns for the residents in the building. He was surprised to see the condition of the building and that it is allowed to be occupied. Some of his more serious concerns was a lack of working smoke detectors, a blocked handicap ramp entrance, and that the building is quite literally falling apart. The blocked entrance leaves apartment number 9 with no means of an egress should there be a fire anywhere near the main entrance. He didn't know who to express the concerns to or who's in charge. There was no opportunity to talk to anyone about his safety concerns. So I shared this information with Bobby when he stopped on Saturday. I would like to reach out to the state fire marshal. I think because we have a legit concern of somebody who has been in the building and witnessed it, that I think we can now reach out to a fire marshal and tell them what's going on. So they could go in and request inspection of the building.
I think if that goes that direction, I'd like direction from council and me personally reaching out to state fire marshals. I don't want state fire marshal coming in, acknowledge, well, why isn't your fire chief saying any of this? as
That's
well?
why I pointed
So
at you.
I will-
So have you reach out to the fire marshal?
I definitely will, and if that falls on deaf ears. then-
Would you like the copy of the report, or do we want me to just
Yeah, give the
forward an
report.
email to him?
I mean,
Before you make that report, do you think that you should take a law enforcement officer with you and just do a walkthrough of the place yourself?
So the fire marshal, from what I understand, on any fire that we have, unless there's $1 million or loss of life, they don't even come out and look for anything. They're so busy doing other things. I know that they're limited on people and everything else, like everybody else, but, so if that was to be sent to them from council, doesn't look good on us in communication. And they would probably say we need to have your fire chief or whatever, look it over. If it comes from direction from council that you guys want me to a law enforcement officer, I don't want to do it by myself. And we give a warning that this and this needs to be taken care of, type of thing. I just don't know. I don't know that we, as a city, have any code or anything like that to say, or we're fining you, or we're condemning the building, or anything like that.
Why wouldn't we?
I don't know that legal. I'm not saying we don't, I'm saying I don't know that legal portion of
I think that's something we need to look at, because if it's an issue of, the way that cat wrote that letter is that there's the potential for loss of life in the event of a fire.
That place has been terrible for years.
Well,
And a
we
lot
know
of
that.
that stuff maybe grandfather, like, fire suppression systems.
Yeah,
Some
blocking
buildings
an
are
entrance is not gonna be.
Well, but it was just sold though. It was just
Was it
recently
just
sold,
sold?
just recently.
Oh.
So his concerns were the new property manager was busy remodeling the apartment that he's living in and not addressing the safety concerns of the residents. That those should be addressed before he worries about a remodel in one of the apartments.
Wow, that should have been. stipulation instead. They should have that. And I don't know if.
I would think that would have to be part of Iowa code or something.
Well, I'm just wondering if they have had to have an inspection on that building. When was the last time for?
Well, yeah, if there was a
Wiring and
sale,
everything
if there was
else.
a sale, it had to be inspected, and it had to be towed.
No, it didn't actually sell. It's still the same owner, but it's a different property management company that came
Oh,
in.
same owner?
Yes, still the same owner. It's a different property management guy. They got rid of the other guy and this
No, so
is,
it's just another guy that's running.
yes.
Oh, okay, well, that might be a little bit different.
So I would say give that to Matt.
To Matt.
And send it to, he can do. I don't think he has to go through it.
No, but I would like to respond to the paramedic to let him know that I have brought it to
Matt, you
the
see
fire
yourself
chief.
being able to take a look at that in the next
Just
couple
have
of
it
days?
local.
Yeah.
And say,
Yeah, I mean,
send it
I-
to the fire chief.
First thing I'm gonna do tomorrow is make a phone call about it and know what my steps are. Or if it is something that I say, hey, we have a concern.
Okay.
But I mean, in the last 2 months, or last 6 months, I've had 2 different people call and ask me about, we got a venue and a bed and breakfast going out here in the YSS and everything. And we've never really had anything like that put on our table to say, hey, you guys are the inspectors because the fire marshal is too busy or something. So knowing the ins and outs of every one of those codes to be able to sign off on something, I don't have that because I'm not trained in that. And I'm not gonna sign a piece of paper that says that.
No.
So, I mean,
So the other
hopefully
thing,
it's them saying, hey, we're gonna come help you
right,
type of thing. Or they give me direction on how to go about it. But I mean, if it is very concerning, if I go through there, we go, holy crap, this is, yeah, and what's the next step the council's going to take to?
Guess we'll find that out. That's,
But what is?
And the lawyer?
Building inspector, doesn't he do that for?
That's when they have new construction.
Not only just-
I don't think there's anything about it. Only with a remodel or something like that. But I don't know if we have a code that says anything.
Well, he's remodeling an apartment.
Yeah, so I mean,
Let us know.
so yeah, how you get a building inspector to go in and inspect the building to see that it meets.
I guarantee there's a lot of things that they're trying to meet code.
That's what I'm wondering, and that would be a great opportunity for us us to do something different with that.
Have they
property.
applied for any permits on remodeling?
Huh?
We can't get rid of it.
But I mean, maybe you would find a company that would be interested in buying the property and getting rid of the school and putting up a eightplex or, you know.
There you go, sell that. City buys that.
And I don't know how you hear about that.
Okay.
The company that comes in that says that if you got people that are not compliant and they have junk, we can hire them and they go in and do it.
We'll do it, that with the attorney. We gotta pay for that, right? City has to pay for it.
Person who's
You can
cleaning
amend
has,
their-
if they don't
taxes.
have their cleanup done by a certain time, then you can go and then you can have them bill it to them.
If they have the money, it doesn't matter.
They assess it to their taxes.
So I make a motion, we adjourn.
second.
All in favor for adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Thank you very much.
Motion by Mark,